Hi there, it's great to be here with Charlie Adams, Scottish international midfield player. Hi there, Charlie.
Hi, Donald, you okay?
Aye, very well. You're down in Reading just now, are you?
Yeah. The last few games to go before the season finishes, and it's been a tough week, a tough season really. Yeah. You know, with the whole COVID thing and the break and that. But no, we started to pick up the last few weeks and get a couple of results for taking confidence for next season.
And you're right. You know, it's a strange situation, isn't it, to stop the season, have such a gap, and then to pick up again. How did you find doing that? You know, between the gap and then going back into playing.
No, I obviously the gap was difficult, but I used it as like a mini pre-season just to try and stay fit and be ready. And it was important that after about 2 or 3 weeks, I just thought, well, it was more of a mental issue, and I thought, right, I'm going to have to use this as a mental issue to try and get through this, because it's going to be tough. And the exercise helped me, and I enjoyed it because my family lived away up north and I was down south. It was good to spend a little bit of time at home and be there every day with the kids. And but this is my job, and as soon as we got an opportunity to go back to it, lost you.
Yeah, back.
And I got an opportunity to go back to it. It was I was delighted.
Great. So I'm just going to ask you, right? How did you get into football as a boy and a kid? Did you just always love it? Were you always playing?
Yeah, always loved it. It was something I'd always wanted to do. I was always kicking a ball. I was even going to school. I had one in my bag and just wanted to play. And obviously, I had sorts of traits because my dad used to play as well, and that was massive. He was a massive influence in my career, as we'll go on later in the thing. But it was just something that I enjoyed doing and I loved, being part of, and I always felt that I wanted to be a footballer, and fortunate enough for me that happened.
Great. And see, when you were a kid, were you always playing outside with your mates? Was it street football there as well?
Yeah, everything. I used to just kick a ball against the garages or walls or anything that was probably non-breakable. We broke a few windows over the years, but yeah, it was just something that I just loved to do, and obviously the experience of my dad being a footballer, I think it was trying to prove him wrong all the time, and that was a big thing for me,
How important do you think that is? You've been in football all your life, to have someone like, if it's your dad or a bigger brother or someone, how important do you think that is to have someone, you're striving to, as you say, prove them wrong or striving to impress? How important do you think that is for a player, Jan?
I think it is. I think it's the biggest thing for me that I used it was that I had his past experiences helped me, the things that he failed on, and the learning curve that I got from him was brilliant. So I used that. That was most of it. But listen, he was hard on me. It was a tough upbringing for me. My other brothers and sisters were, pastor, and we had a good family. But my dad gave a lot of time to me and took me a lot of places of football, and was just, let's say, he was one that was very tough at the side of the pitch on a Saturday or a Sunday, and let's say it was hard for me, but it was hard for everybody else watching, because they felt it was some people might say it was bullying, but it was just he wanted the best for me, and I never knew anything different, and I would never change it for how I achieved in my career.
Yeah, I'm sure. How important do you think your dad was then for you? Setting standards for yourself and playing.
Massive standards. I remember, every day every game or even every training, I used to have to come home and clean my own boots. My mum or dad would never do it. If they were dirty, I would have to be in the back of the garden cleaning my boots, making sure they were right. And he always said that first impressions count. So if you walk up with dirty boots and that, people are like, is he serious, and things like that. So my boots were always clean, ready to go. And majority of Sundays, Donald, were, my dad basically having to go. And, you know, it was tough for my mum because, you know, it was hard for her seeing her son, you know, getting into, you know, because I would never react or I'd never say anything back because I was, you know, respected him.
Yeah.
You know, and I think the tough upbringing he had with a Jim McLean or something like that probably sort of, you know, done, and that's how I felt that it was with me now. You know, looking back, that's how he was brought up and that's how he tried to be with me, and, you know, I would never change it.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the challenges, Charlie, when you hear people now comparing, you know, how the youth setups are now compared to then. You can't really compare, isn't it? Because at the time that was how it was as well.
Donald, when I used to go into Murray Park, as you know, the Rangers training ground on, you know, I had coaches like John McGround, Tommy McLean, John Gregg, John McGregor. You know, these were tough people you had to appease. You know, doing your jobs, cleaning the boot, doing the balls, you know, putting the kit out.
Yeah, that's superb, John. And how did you get up? When did you go into the youth setup of the clubs, or the pro setup, what we would call now?
Well, I obviously was playing boys club on a Sunday. I went to a few clubs at the school holidays. I used to go down to Man City and, you know, had a few trials there, and I loved that. You know, the scout in Scotland there recently died, which was shame because he was a great man, John Ferguson, and he was amazing with us. He used to take us in the train, and obviously going to Man City, they had training room called Platt Lane and Main Road and Glasgow and all that. It was amazing. And it wasn't until about 13, 14 I started going, travelling through the Rangers. I'd go there, you know, we used to play a game on a Saturday sometimes outside Ibrox.
Yeah.
And then we'd go to the game on a Saturday and come back. And then after that, I got the opportunity to come and sign in the youth development league. I was just never going to turn it down. It was a great opportunity. And that time, you know, a lot of people don't know, I was travelling 3 days a week on my own.
God.
Because obviously living in Dundee, mum and dad couldn't drive. Obviously the scout at the time, he would take us one day a week, but the other 2 days I was getting the train on a Monday evening about 3:30, 4 o'clock, and then I was getting the train to Glasgow Central, having to get the tube from Glasgow Central out to Ibrox, training, and then coming back the same way. And I wasn't getting home till like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. But it was the dedication I had, and I was desperate to be a footballer, and Rangers
that in itself is a big learning curve, isn't it, Charlie? All the travelling and organising.
The organisation and being aware of what's around you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
At that time, there was that many people around train stations, and I just think that.
I'm losing your audio a bit there, Charlie.
Can you hear? Sorry,
that's it. Yeah, that's it.
So it was great. And no, I would never change it. It made me grow up quicker.
Yeah.
And no, I was delighted with it.
Yeah. And coming through the youth setup, what coaches influenced you? Who had the biggest influences on you?
Well, when I was coming through, I had who did I have when I was younger? I had coaches like Gregor Abel. I don't know if you would know Gregor Abel. People like that, obviously. And then when I went to the under-18s, Bobby Russell at one point I had as well. So when I went into under-18s, I had John Brown, John McGregor, people like that. So it was great upbringing. Do you know what I mean? They were tough masters.
I'm sure.
They were tough, and at times I doubted myself, was I going to make it? Yeah. But fortunately for me, I got a break and I got an opportunity to become a footballer.
Okay. And what took you through? What got you through that bits where the self-doubt came in? And I think we all have that in bits. And sometimes, isn't it? It's just that it's not happening at the time that you want it to happen. Or something. Do you think that the background that you had about working hard, do you think that helped you get through that?
Possibly, but I always believed I was good enough, Donald. And the biggest frustration with me was I seen players that I felt that weren't not being disrespectful at my level playing, that were getting opportunities, training with the first team, you know, going on a European trips and things like that. But obviously my performances might not have been good enough for under-18s. And I was fortunate enough for under-18s. We won the cup in the league with people like Chris Burke and you know, Tom Brighton, and Alan Hutton was in the youth team as well. So players like that were coming through at the same time, and it was a great time. And when you fear that, you know, you don't think that you're getting close to the first team, that was tough. But you know, you just got to bide your time, and that's the big thing about players nowadays. You've got to stay patient, be relaxed, and trust in the coaches.
And you went on loan, didn't you? I remember I was at Ross County with Parky and Robbo, and I'm sure you were at St Mirren at that point, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was at St Mirren at that point. So I went to Ross County for 6 months before that under Alex Smith and Jimmy Bond. So when I walked in there, it was an eye opener, because we had people like Jim Laughlin, McCunney was there, Tony Bullock, Don Cowie was there at the time. Great people, do you know what I mean? But I was a young kid, you know, never been out of Glasgow or Dundee, come up north, and I thought, what is this? But I loved it. It was a great club, still is now, you know. Roy's obviously spent a lot of money there trying to change and adapt it, and I was just, unfortunate for me, it never worked out the way I would want to work out, because, you know, I got injured after about 6 months, and I had to come back because of the injury, and it cut short. And no, I loved it up there. It was a good time.
Yeah, good stuff. And when do you think then you got almost the break which kicked you on into the first teams and you grew up?
Going to St Mirren. St Mirren was St Mirren was the big break. Going there with Andy Millen and Gus McPherson. I'd always had that little bit of experience going to Ross County. Loved it, enjoyed it. And then I went to St Mirren, and that was the time that I felt like I was a first team player. Do you know what I mean? Going in there, sort of showing my talents a little bit, and felt like I was an important part of the team. So we went there, and we were brilliant. We got promoted to the Premier League, and obviously won the Bells Cup as well, which was fantastic for St Mirren. And you know, they've been there since. It was great times.
Great times. And then from St Mirren did you go back? You went back to Rangers.
So everything had changed then. So Alec had left, and Paul Le Guin had come in. And it changed for me. Obviously, I don't know how Paul had seen me, if he'd seen my previous season or what. But I'd come back pre-season and done the pre-season, and that was great. It was tough. It was different for everybody, because it was a new culture and new beginnings, really. And I just got my head down and knuckled down and loved it. You know, he was tough ball, but I enjoyed it. Obviously, a few players had issues and problems, but he gave me that opportunity to play. And you know, we went to South Africa on a pre-season trip, and somebody sent me a picture the other day, and it was like the first time I scored a hat-trick, and the whole trip was shambles. You know, we were playing on a pitch that was horrendous. The nets had holes in it and everything like that. It was terrible, but it was part of the plan. Do you know what I mean? And when I come back, I started the first game of the season against Motherwell. We won 2-1. I got man of the match.
Brilliant. And what was it like to make your debut at Ibrox then? When you?
Oh, it was phenomenal. Do you know what I mean? The 50,000. It's you know, even when I went back there I went back for a charity match not long ago against Liverpool, and it was you got the buzz again. Do you know what I mean? The feeling of you're at a big club again, and it's a special football club. Obviously had its troubled times, but looks like now it's starting to pick up, and top manager there, and some good players, and hopefully they can get that silverware that they need.
Great. So, when you're there and with your first team career, what coaches influenced how you played the most, Charlie, do you think? Or did you develop it yourself, do you think?
No, definitely coaches. Jan Wouters was a first team coach there, who was more of obviously there was a lot of Dutch at the time, and he was a technical coach, and he liked what he seen with me. He was really interested in how I was as a player, because I was a technical player, and he was good. But the ones that would stand out would be, you know, your Kenny McDowell, who come in with Walter, who was a very good coach. Ian Durant was amazing with me as well. He was brilliant with all the young lads that were getting opportunity, because he'd come through that way as well, and he was brilliant. So it was a great time, and you know, George Adams was head scout. Obviously, you know him as well, and he was part of the thing. So he was brilliant for me as well. He was always one that believed in me. Always felt that I was good enough to get into that first team, and just kept my head down, keep working hard, and your opportunity will come. So it was good times. It was.
Did you always have an internal kind of drive to be better and better, Charlie, as you play?
Donald, every day I wanted to be better. I always wanted to be the best. I felt that, you know, that was not the confidence. I always felt that I was, you know, wanted to be the best. If you get an opportunity in the first team to show people that you were good enough, and getting into the first team was a real eye-opener when people like Barry Ferguson was in the first team. I, you know, probably was overawed a little bit as a young kid coming through.
Yeah.
I've lost you.
You'll be back in a minute.
Sorry.
That's it.
I was probably a little bit overawed when I was coming through, because he was obviously the main man.
Yeah.
And he was tough on me.
Yeah.
And, you know, John Brown always said something to me: the day I stop shouting, it'll be the day that you need to get worried. And, you know, he was a big influence in my career as a coach. You know, harped on at me every day. And the thing for me, though, when I was growing up, was I used to always rush in from training. So when I was training, I used to rush in, because the first team used to train a little bit later than us. So we'd start at 10:30, and the first team lads would start at like 11. Yeah. So I used to always try and rush in after training and get in the gym, kid on that I was in the gym. But really, what I was doing was sitting watching the first team train, looking at the best players, seeing what the best players done. You know, your Fergusons, Caniggia, and how they trained, and just learning from them. And whenever I got an opportunity to, like, obviously when I was a young lad, the away games, like if they were ever playing at Dundee or Dundee United, I'd always say to Jimmy Bell, let me come and help you with the kit and the hampers and the boots and that. And I used to always just turn up at the games, and the first team lads were like, what are you doing here and that? And I was just saying, I'm just here to help Jimmy. But really what I was doing was just trying to get involved around it and being around that first team mentality. Do you know what I mean? And I learned a lot seeing how people prepared and how they looked after themselves before the games. And it was just how I managed to get that mentality, really.
Yeah, that's brilliant, Charlie, isn't it? So how important do you think it is for a young player to develop that first team mentality as early as they can?
It's all about winning, and that's and being around winners makes you want to be a winner. You know, it's all right, you could achieve winning youth cups and that, but when you get into that first team, it's a different mentality. And I had that with St Mirren as well, because these lads that when you go to the lower leagues, your Ross County and St Mirren, you know, their win bonuses are paying the mortgage, or they're paying the cars, or paying the bills. So it means a lot to them. Do you know what I mean? So that's how I used it, and that's how I got that mentality. I hate getting beat. That drums in you from you playing for Rangers, because you've got to win every game. That's the expectation of the football club. And you know, being around these first team players who were, at that time when I was coming through, were successful, winning cups, winning trophies, and I learned a lot from people like that. You know,
brilliant. It's amazing kind of lesson for young players through that winning mentality, but also like you did, every opportunity, and you obviously taught yourself to do it, immersing yourself in how people were and the culture and watching them, isn't it? You know, that was just within you, I think.
And that's what I try to say to the young kids nowadays. Like, when you get an opportunity to come and watch the first team, come and watch. It's not an embarrassment. You see how the top players, the best players supposedly at your club are preparing for games, or seeing it. Even if it's after training, just walking by, just stand and watch for 5 minutes how people are, you know, whatever exercise they're doing after training. Can I improve on that? Am I doing enough to get into that position? Because, you know, even now at 34, when I'm not playing, I've still got that hunger and desire to get that jersey back. He's got my jersey. How I see it is, he's got my jersey and I need it back. And that's how I still, even now, it's okay in training. I might go a little bit, you know, get too excited and, you know, just want to win, and that's how I feel, you know.
Yeah, just incredible internal drive to improve, isn't it? And always have a challenge in front of you. How did you find moving to England? Did you notice a difference in how the game was played when you moved to England?
I noticed the mentality was different.
Was it?
Yeah, different. I think there was an expectation that the players expect a lot more. I've only learned that from the clubs that I've been to, but
yeah.
I was fortunate enough when I went to Blackpool. You know, we had nothing. We washed our own kit.
Yeah.
We mucked in. Great bunch of lads, and we had a great team spirit, and that was the key.
Yeah, brilliant. And what about? Did you think the game was similar? Did you just play a similar role when you moved down?
Yeah, when I felt it was a lot faster. In the championship, when I was still young enough, and when I come into the championship, you were playing against seasoned pros. But I'd already played a few games for Rangers. I had that big experience, and you know, in the Champions League and things like that. So it was great experiences for me. But I still took time to adapt. You know, you were coming up against the old pros that would leave a bit on you because you're a young lad and seeing how you react. And I got sent off my first game.
Did you?
Sent off for stamping on somebody, and you know, it was probably one of the best things that happened to me. It was a learning curve that you know, when you come to that level, you know, you're not just letting you know, yourself down, but you're letting your teammates down, your fans down, and it can cost you on a Saturday. So ill-disciplined is massive in the game. So if you can get that right, then you've got half a chance.
That's huge. And how did you find it when you went to Liverpool? Obviously, another, you know, just a massive club. Did you find that your experiences at Rangers helped you go to Liverpool?
Yeah, definitely. Using the winning mentality, I understood that, and I tried to bring that winning mentality to Blackpool. Blackpool was a club who'd been fighting relegation. Obviously, I'd been at Rangers, expected to win every week. And like you say, that we're talking about mentality of players, happy to have a draw here and there, when really, you know, every game that I'm going into, I expect to win. It might not work out that way, but you just try and win as much as you can. And we instilled that into that, and we won a few games at Blackpool, obviously getting promoted, and that gave us the buzz and the culture to get that. But when I went to Liverpool, it was an eye opener. It was you know, it was a great buzz, that experience, that big game experience again, and the knowledge that I had from Rangers I took on board, and it was a fantastic year.
Brilliant. And I get the feeling, Charlie, when I'm speaking to you, you really get the most out of everywhere you go, do you? Do you enjoy every club you go to and just put your all into everything?
Yeah, Donald, that's one thing I've tried to do and I always think at every club, and maybe not the thing, but what I try to be is the main player and drag the team when the team's having a tough time. You know, you always need somebody to step up to the plate, and that's what I try to do. Try and always believe that if you take players to a level that they've never been before, you know, you'll get some that will come with you on the journey and some won't, and you want to try and drag these ones up with you, and that's all I try to do every day, and try and help the lads, and hopefully we've changed this culture at this club that I'm at Reading it now, because it's another club over the last 4 or 6 years has been fighting relegation, and hopefully now the mentality's changed where you know, there's no better feeling than winning. People say it's all about winning, you know, and success, the trophies and that will come with it if you can put consistent results together. But that feeling on a Saturday is incredible.
Yeah, that's brilliant, Charlie. So that, you know, that winning feeling on a Saturday, but I also would imagine, listening to your story coming through, it must give you great pleasure now to see you're in the position as well where you help develop the younger players around you, like you're saying there, and help them develop a winning mentality. Yeah,
and that's it. You know, I see, for instance, we had a young kid here at Reading who, you know, he's a good player, got a lot to learn, he's only 19 years of age, and when I first come in, I was on at him. You know, I could see a bit of a talent, but he was too relaxed, and you know, probably never applied it to the way he should have. And over the last 2 to 3 months, I could see a little bit of change in his demeanour and how he's imposing himself on the team. You know, he's asking questions now of, you know, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And I just think I've got him. Do you know what I mean? I've got him hooked. He wants to learn these, and to be fair to the kid, you know, he's performed extremely well since he's come into the team. So it's good, and that's a little bit satisfying for me because of a senior player trying to help young players coming through. You know.
Yeah, that sounds brilliant, Charlie. And see all the coaches you've worked with right the way from when you were very young. Do you see, I suppose, not so much the game changing, but do you see how coaches communicate changing, and you know the amount of tactical information changing that's given to players?
The game's changed from when I was, you know, I remember when I was younger, it was straight to the point. There was no covering anything up, Donald. You know, you know Parky, you know Alex Smith, Jimmy Bones, John Brown, straight to the point. There's no ifs and buts. Nowadays, you have to approach it in a different manner. You have to approach the players in a different way. Every player's different, and that's the difference of, you know, the coaches, where the learning experiences, like you say, speaking to yourself, or you know, how do you approach this matter, or how do you approach that, and I think that's the
interesting thing about the game is that, you know, so many different individuals and characters, and you approach it very differently.
I agree, Charlie, because that's what I always think about football, isn't it? It's just like a little world magnified, you know, in the dressing room. Now the spread of people and the different backgrounds, just incredible.
Yeah, it's just in different people. Everybody's different. I had one lad here, we were talking about just before the lockdown, we were saying, "Oh, what are you doing in the summer holidays and that?" And he was from southeast London and that. And he went, "Nah, I don't go on holiday. I'm just going to go and play with my mates in the cages and that." And I was like, "What?" He says, "Yeah, that's all I do." He said, "I just love going and playing in the cages." And that's how these lads get their talent, you know. So, you know, everybody's different in how they relax and prepare for games or prepare for seasons. And I think that's the fascinating thing about football now, is how you coach different people and different mentalities.
I know I've seen you on the coaching licence up in Scotland as well. And do you enjoy coaching? Do you enjoy the whole science of coaching and what it's all about as well, Charlie, about the game?
Love it. It's just about learning, and now as a senior player, it adds a different bit to your game. Do you know what I mean? You see a different side of the game. Like I say, the people up there, Greg and Parkin, they did a wonderful job in the coaching sessions, and the courses they put on are second to none, you know. And they are a joy to, when you do get an opportunity to go on them. It's an experience that you'll never forget.
Yeah, brilliant, Charlie. And just to finish with it, if you had any, you know, messages for young players coming through, you know, a youth setup and wanted to be a pro player, what would be the key messages you would give them?
Work hard, you know, sacrifice the things in your life that, you know, that you probably don't need, and surround yourself with good people. If you surround yourself with good people, they will show you in the right direction, put you in the right path, keep you on the straight and narrow, and that's how I believe that, you know, because if you're a talented footballer, that will come through. But working hard and surround yourself with good people are big key components.
That's a brilliant message. Work hard and surrounding yourself with good people. So thanks, Charlie. It's been great to speak to you, and I really appreciate you taking the time to catch up.
No,
Cheers,
thank
mate.
you very much, Don. Speak soon.
Cheers. Bye. Cheers.